What goes inside, only you decide. We and I will know you lie. Vicious is a Paramount Plus original from writer director Brian Bertino. And what would Brian Bertino do if he were here right now? He'd tell you he did the '08 Strangers and The Monster from A24. Does that rhyme? No. The fact is, from the director of The Monster, one of the rare A24 misses should tell you all that you need to know about Vicious. If you somehow have managed to avoid the marketing for Vicious, you're lucky. Trust me, you're lucky. I actually have seen one trailer. My buddy sent me this trailer, and I decided to give it a shot because it has the very gifted Dakota Fanning in it as Polly. And Polly is in a bit of a pocket of problems. Aha, if you see what I did there. Where she's struggling, she doesn't really know where she's going to go in life. She's living in a rented house. Well, a house that her sister, husband, they rent, and the niece is across town. They're making their way downtown with a bigger yard and they're homebound. But in all seriousness, Polly is struggling. She has a job interview coming up, but then an old lady that is played by Catherine Hunter, who was in Poor Things as well as Megalopolis and The Front Room. Remember the very old, confused and angry broad from The Front Room? Yeah, her. That's her. That sounds mean, and I do want to say, by the way, that Catherine Hunter actually is a very good actress. She's very good at playing a very annoying character, and she does the same here. So basically, this old broad shows up with a box and then takes out the hourglass and basically says, this belongs to you now. You must do a few things in order to survive or otherwise you'll die. You must put something you hate, something you need, and something you love in there. And if you do, then you'll be fine. Of course, there's another part to this, but we'll get to that later. So, yeah, that's the plot of Vicious, and I fucking hated this movie. I hated every bit of it. The fact that Dakota Fanning, somebody that has been in so many great movies, and some questionable ones, is reduced to being in shit like this. I mean, what the fuck? And what the fuck is this movie supposed to be? I don't even need answers for any questions that I have, because this movie doesn't so much raise more questions than it has answers for. It raises more frustrations than I want to see, basically assuaded and taken care of. I really didn't care what happened to anybody in this fucking movie, and it has no goddamn idea what it wants to be. This is the definition of a short film concept that is stretched the fuck out. This is an hour and 41 minutes, and it feels like it goes at least the length of The Brutalist. With the intermission, that is. And this is terrible. It's abysmal. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. There's no terror. There's no horror. There's no reasoning for this to be happening. It just exists in a universe seemingly where there are like 5 to 6 people in this goddamn neighborhood. I know the idea is, and by the way, the reason I'm wearing this is they showed a Christmas theme, and I'm like, well, I gotta break out the hat, even though it's goddamn October, and people like the hat. I like the hat. This is from a nice elderly lady that her and her husband would frequent the old store I worked at. And apparently I was such a nice cashier, a nice person, that she gave me this hat. And I'm like, well, that's very nice of you. I didn't break it out for a while. But then, once I started doing more Christmas-themed movie reviews, I decided, why not do this? So let's talk about Vicious. It's terrible. Again, it's so bad. This is so bad and so bland and so bullshit. Fuck everybody that funded this goddamn thing. How dare you call yourself a movie, Vicious, you entity that actually can't really feel anything. I wish Vicious could feel something. I felt a very vicious need to stomp this thing into the goddamn ground. This is a terrible, abysmally bad, incontinent, inconsistent, and just it's so just bare bones, minimalist. There's nothing to this. There's absolutely nothing to this. We don't even really need answers about why the box does what it does, because the heart wants what it wants. But again, when there is just nothing but frustration watching this, like, you didn't care what happened to this person. I mean, there are a few metaphors that this could be about struggles in life, and you need to take chances and everything, and you need to appreciate what you had, even if it's no longer there, and appreciate what you currently have. And also, they must have paid the estate of the mamas and the papas quite a bit, because Dedicated to the One I Love, I think, plays at least 3 fucking times in this. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about Vicious. It is one of the worst horror movies of the year. Possibly top 10 worst. We'll see. Anyway, it's on Paramount. 3, 2, 1, and yeah, spoilers. So, you gotta give it something you hate, something you need, something you love. That also describes my sex life. I'll let you describe which one applies to me the most. So, yeah, we start in the beginning. Obviously, that's where you would start with the movie. And she's talking to a girl named Tara. And then we fast forward or flash back to the beginning, the real beginning. We get these it's like twisty turny, like we're in a maze like house thing of like these camera shots, and I hate this because it goes on seemingly forever, but I think it's only like about 30 seconds. But there's just so much needless padding and weird camera tricks and just drawn out scenes. I mean, I know this film was desperate to try and get itself past the 80-minute runtime, but come on. Anyway, Catherine is always getting herself in these situations, always getting young people into these situations. She essentially shows up as a confused old lady and then describes all the stuff that I just described. Catherine Hunter, by the way, is very good in roles like this. Oh, and you can't tell anyone, because if you tell anybody, they're going to take their own lives. So her mother has talked to her on the phone before this, Polly's mother. I assume her mother is played by Mary McCormick. They actually don't ever show her except in pictures, but I believe it's her because she's listed in the top of the cast. And there is a sister also played by Rachel Blanchard. No relation to Tessa, thankfully. And also there is Devin Nakata, who was Annika in Scream 6. Remember the really pretty one that got killed on the ladder? Yeah, her. She shows up a little bit later on. But, yeah, she's talking to her mother and then ends up having to hang up and stuff like that. And then gets another call from her mother after she tries to get rid of the box and leave it in the goddamn street and all this. But nope, you must play along. And no explanation for why this is happening. Like, it just exists. And okay, that would be horrifying. Shit, my life got uprooted. Her life seemed really sad to begin with anyway, but nevertheless, she keeps smoking cigarettes, and now she's going to take Roy Welch's cigarettes and throw them in there. It's not Roy Welch's cigarettes, but I just want to believe that Roy Welch lived on as a cigarette since he kind of looked like a smoked cigarette. Only massive deep cut wrestling fans are going to get that. She throws the cigarettes in there, but it's not something she hates. It's something she wants to hate, but no, not that. So, basically, more shit happens every time she lies to the box. And then she basically gets a, she just, what's so stupid about this is we just get a bunch of stupid, like, scenarios existing. She goes to a neighbor. This neighbor ends up getting a call from the police. You don't stand so close to them. And she ends up, putting a knife down like this and not like bring her back. But if you've seen Bring Her Back, you get it. But yeah, it ends up basically stabbing herself. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. And then the Taylor Swift video broke out. It didn't, but it would have been better than what I was seeing here. And then she gets a call from her dad. It turns out it's not her dad, and her dad died of cancer, and she had to reflect on that. Oh, yes, and by the way, after the cigarette thing, she threw up a key. This key is for a drawer thing that she unlocks that has her dad's stuff, and it has her dad's necklace, because he prayed to God, and God did not answer and take away the cancer, so now she hates that. She puts the the cross locket in there, and that's it. And then there's a voice calling her all kinds of names, like what Stu Hart said that Diana was being made to act like on Raw in May of 1996. Anybody that gets that deep cut wrestling reference. So yeah, her reflection. Who is that girl I see staring straight back at me? She is there. I almost did that as an intro, and then I realized this movie is not worthy of me ruining another song. But yeah, she's not doing all that well because it's her own reflection, calling her pathetic, calling her all kinds of stuff. And again, this might have worked. The Twin, which is a Shudder original, by the way, you may want to check out, just because it introduces some good ideas about reflection and depression and that kind of stuff. But at least it presents the ideas better than whatever the fuck this was doing. And I was knocking it a little bit, and the director reached out to me, and I do have to say I hope the director continues to do good things. I hope Brian Bertino is sent to the goddamn ward after this, because good lord. Then her sister calls and says, well, your car's out there, and no, don't let me in. See, none of this makes any sense. I mean, yeah, it's the Bucks reaching out and basically taking anybody that she loves and whatever, unless she plays along, but there we are. So, I did like the old TV there. I think my grandparents had one of those TVs. And then we see this little piggy went to market. Yeah, wee, all the way home. So she cuts off her big toe, or her small toe, after her little pinky toe. And her mother is all their Evil Dead style for whatever reason. And she wasn't supposed to cut off her toe. She puts the toe in the box, but then opens it and the toe's still there. It's supposed to be her finger, because that was an earlier reflection thing where her finger was gone. And she does that, and yeah, there we go. Mamas and the Papas play again. Dedicated to the one I love. And, I mean, I would say, they may have to pay the surviving members, but I don't think any members of that group are still alive. And if they are, my God, they're older than dirt. But, she freaks out and goes, so the neighbor's dead. She's freaking out because she has no pinky toe on one foot and no index finger. It's actually not her pinky finger. She races over and sees that her sister's not doing well. Her niece is not doing well because they're all comatose. And then Allie calls her. Allie's her niece, but it turns out to actually be the voice, and the voice is telling her to finish this game. Whatever this game is. Then she cuts off some of her hair. Allie's hair, that is. Puts it in the box. And there we go. Is it over? It is not. What's the final step? You got to give the box to someone else and continue the cycle. Oh, it's a vicious cycle. I get it. So anyway, just keep giving stuff you love until it stops. And then she goes to Tara's house. Devin is there, and she's talking about how her parents are gone, but like on vacation, but they're coming back, and she's watching the house. There's a cat and a screaming person. Screaming person's a metaphor for the fucking viewers who are still sitting through this goddamn thing. And she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it, but she ends up giving it to her. And this belongs to you now. And then suddenly Catherine shows back up at Polly's house and wants me to kill you because she's got the box, because it's just a vicious cycle of this stuff happening despite just whatever. Then she gets in a fight with Catherine Hunter, which is not as hilarious as what was in the front room, which is saying something. But yeah, we end up getting scissoring between a couple women. Actually, by that I mean an Arn Anderson Sid Vicious like scissoring. Ouch. And Catherine Hunter's dead. And yeah, all this because she just refused to quit smoking. And also because they're broken and they don't realize, what good they have in their lives. And so he tries to throw exposition out. And by then, if the viewers are still locked in, bless you, I was totally checked out by this point. She then goes to see her niece. Everything's good. Goes to see Tara. And Tara says, no, you made a mistake. There's no box, this kind of stuff and whatever. It's fine. Oh, and then, by the way, the box is there. There's something, tell no one, she lies, all this written on the wall. Oh, and her parents are dead. And it's not just something you hate, something you need, something you love. Now it's something you want. So now she's going to do something like possibly a few $1 million or get eternal life or whatever from this. And she starts smoking again. And then the cell phone rings. Because the cell phone was ringing at times, and now she's afraid to answer it. And yeah, then Tara has a box, and that's it. That's it for Vicious. It's a terrible movie. I don't really care if this review was very coherent, because the movie was incoherently, inconsistently incontinent. And it deserves to be called every bad name in the book. Fuck Paramount for thinking this is a good idea. So yeah, the movie's absolutely horrible and gets an F. Agree, disagree what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentland, and until we go somewhere other than towards the box again, happy trails to you.